There's something about film that really stands out to me. There's a reason everybody's craving that film look. The colours are so vibrant and rich, but it also feels very natural. I've never enjoyed the look of my own videos, until now. Dehancer reached out to me and asked me for a complete honest review of their plugin. I've had my eye on Dehancer for quite a while now, seeing other people have such amazing results. So I've tried it out over the past few weeks and I'm more than happy with how it's looking. For those of you who don't know, Dehancer is a film emulation plugin for video editing programs. It gives your digital footage all those beautiful filmic qualities. Firstly, film stocks. Dehancer has over 60 different film stocks to choose from. To name a few that you've possibly heard of: Kodak Vision 3, Kodak Portra 400, Cine Still 800, Ilford HB5 Plus, and even Kodachrome 64. And within each film stock you have a push and pull slider, which gives you countless variations between each film stock. Next up, film prints. Printing is a final stage of analog cinema production. This gives you a few variations on the final look of your film. You've got linear, Fujifilm 3513, Kodak 2383, and Kodak Endura glossy paper. So now you've got your film colors decided, let's move on to the extra features. Grain. Grain is different to noise. When you increase the ISO on a digital camera, you get a noisy image. This is repeated colored spots which make things look fuzzy and unattractive, whereas film grain is texture that occurs during the developing process. This is more random and feels more natural. It's also less harsh than digital noise. Halation. This is what gives you that beautiful warm halo on contrasting edges. Back in the day of shooting on film, this was something that people viewed as an issue, and they eventually figured out ways to remove halation. It's funny, these imperfections are now the things we crave the most. Bloom. This blooming effect is what creates a soft glow or mist around bright objects. This is something that can be done practically by using a Pro Mist filter, but within Dehancer it can be done in post. You might not want the blooming to be baked into your footage, so it's good to be able to choose whether or not you want to add it in post. There's plenty of other effects like overscans, film breath and gate weave, which can all add a lot to your film look. But for now, let's hop into DaVinci Resolve and take a look at the editing process from start to finish. I've gone ahead and started up a project and created a timeline. And the first thing I would do is go into the project settings. And this is just something that I saw someone else teach on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description if I remember who it was. But they said to change the timeline color space to DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. And then change the output color space to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. Cool. And then I have added my video clips here. If I just go ahead and drag one in. So my friend Ryan provided me with these clips. It's of me and him stood up on this cool car park. It was actually shot in 4:3 or I think 3:2, whatever it is. I'm going to change timeline settings here just to match. There we go. Now I'm going to go straight into the color grading tab. The general rule is to add the Dehancer effect after your basic adjustments. So I'm just going to add a couple of nodes and stick Dehancer on the last one. I'm going to disable it for now. And I'm going to call this one exposure. I'm going to call this one CST and this one Dehancer. The CST, obviously you're going to add a color space transform. And then if you shot in F-Log, you want to convert it to Rec 709. So for me, that would be Rec 2020, Fujifilm F-Log 2, and Rec 709, and Gamma 2.4. So that's now converted my log footage into Rec 709. Then you can add your Dehancer obviously onto the next node and get editing. That being said, if I disable the CST, you can actually go straight into here and choose camera and then select whatever camera you used there, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and keep the CST for now. So as you can see, you've got some exposure and white balance sliders here. There's also a checkbox to remove defringing. Let's go down and next you can see is the film tab. So when I'm actually editing, I would just close all of these, get everything closed. So for me, I actually like the look of the prints. So I always go and turn on the print first. I normally choose between the Fujifilm 3513 and the Kodak 2383. For this, I'm going to select Kodak. Next, I'm going to go through and enable these three tabs so I can further see what the final look is going to be. And then I'm going to go up and actually choose a film. Right now it's some Vision 3 250D. And as I said earlier, you've got this push and pull slider so that you can change the look. Look how much that changes. Crazy. I actually quite like how that looks, to be honest, but let's go ahead and look at some others. Kodak Portrait. Kodak Gold, that's quite nice. Kodak Ektar, that's very blue. But not if you use the push and pull slider, apparently. Got the Ilford, that looks quite cool. Oh, Fuji Color Pro 400H, that actually looks really nice. I think I'm actually going to keep that for this shot. Next thing I like to do is scroll down to film compression and turn up the color density nearly to 100. It's quite subtle, but it does really bring out the rich colors. Next, I'll probably check the black and white points, but to be honest, they're already at a nice point. But you can see if I bring those down, you can crush the blacks or really bring them up to how you like them. I like them to sit just above the 0, somewhere around there, so that's quite nice. And then I'm going to scroll down, open up film grain, and it's currently got 35mm on. If I zoom in, you can see it a bit better. There you go, you can see the film grain going at it. It's quite cool. I think I like it a little bit more subtle, so I like to choose the 65mm 250. Still there, as you can see, but it's just a bit more reserved. Okay, close that up, open up the halation. Let's enable that, and then enable mask mode. You can actually see where it's hitting. It's like really subtly hitting around, and you can see just an edge there. So if I go through and see if I can add a bit more, see that makes it a bit stronger there. That's even stronger. You've also got this no remjet option, which sort of spills everywhere if you do that. If I remove the mask mode, you can see how crazy that looks. I mean, some people might like it, but not quite for me, really. Even that is a bit too much for me. I think it's just spilling a bit too much. So I'm going to put it on this 16mm, I think. Yeah, you can kind of just see it hitting the light here. Quite nice. We've got the bloom, as I spoke about earlier. You can enable and disable that. Yeah, it looks quite cool. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to add it onto this clip, but I will show you again. If you enable the mask mode, you can see where it's hitting. Crank it up. But yeah, I'm going to keep it off this clip. There's a few extra options here, which I will talk about in a minute, but for now, to actually finish this color grade, I'm going to open the vignette. I always like to add the vignette. Yeah, that looks quite nice. I like to turn it down just a bit though. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that, to be honest, would be my process of getting a cool film look. Obviously, if you want to then color grade the footage, you can change the exposure here and down the highlights. You know, just color grade it to how you would like it. And again, they obviously have their own sliders for exposure and white balance and everything else that you might need. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that as a film look. The colors are very rich and vibrant and nice, and it's far better than anything I could do by hand. Okay, so now let's look at how you can take this a step further. If you really want that strong film look, these are the options you want down here. Let's go ahead and crank up the film grain to 16mm. Let's crank the halation to 8mm. Let's stick the bloom on just at 35. Next, we've got film damage, which is obviously jitters and scratches on the film. All these little imperfections that you can see there. 8mm is a little strong, so I'm going to set it to 16mm. Next is film breath. When you turn that on, you can see that the colors are slightly altering. I mean, you can literally see it in the waveforms here. It's bouncing up and down. This was something that did naturally occur on film. I'll put it to 8mm so you can really see the difference. There you go. You can see it going a bit crazy there. I'll crank that back down to 35. Next, we've got gate weave. If I enable that, and I'll stick it on the 8mm to make it really obvious. There you go. You can see that the clip is actually bouncing up and down. Left, right is sort of a natural jitteriness to it. We'll close that. And the last one is overscan. If I enable that, immediately you can see it's got the actual overscan of films. We've got 8mm. We've got standard 16. Super 16. That's pretty cool. Super 35. Widescreen 35. And ultra Panavision. And then within those, you're also able to change the gate shape. You can have it sharp rather than rounded, or you can make it extra round. You can actually turn off the negative, so it just gives you that cropped border. And then you've got your sliders here, so you can really change how it looks. And lastly, you've got this static gate. So at the moment, if I play it, this border is just still. If I turn the static gate off, then you can see that the actual border is sort of moving and jittering. The playback does sort of struggle when you start adding all of these hefty effects. So here's the actual exported video for you to take a good look. One last thing that I forgot to mention is the color head panel. I haven't really played around with this too much myself, but I've heard other people say that it's a really powerful tool. If I enable it here, you can see that I can add yellows or blues, magenta, green. This just all adds on to your final look to get it exactly how you want it to be. You can gang them so that you can move them all together. You can affect just the shadows, just the midtones, the highlights. So really dial in that look that you want. Now, by no means does having this plugin now make me a professional color grader, but it does give me a great starting point. I still plan to learn everything I can about color grading, but I will definitely be using Dehancer to give me a good head start and for all those amazing filmic qualities. So if you're like me and you want to be able to recreate all these film looks and effects, then head over to Dehancer and grab yourself a copy. I also have a discount code which is JoelM, so if you're looking to buy, you can use my code for 10% off any purchase. And I'll also receive a small commission on each sale where my code was used. The last thing to mention is that Dehancer are currently accepting submissions for their Dehancer Colorist Awards. So if you'd like to find out more or possibly enter, check out the link in the description. I'd like to give a massive thank you to Dehancer for sending me a copy of your plugin, and thank you all very much for watching.